Normally I would do the Diary of the Griever named John Weaver, or I would do the zombie situation. But at this point, since we're getting too damn close to the voting on November 5th, and today is only October 28th, 2024. It is 9:18 in the morning West Coast time. I simply must say something about the politics happening. For some time, Trump's opened up where he's looking and blaming and hoping that all the other constituents of his would be looking for enemies within. Not just Democratic parties, but whoever's against them. He wants them prosecuted. But there are no laws on the books, both federal and state, unless they're going to be forcing every state out there and every congressperson, both in House and Senate, should get those laws on the book to actively go against people who protest against Donald Trump. He was saying it at his rally, even though his folks were denying. He was still saying it on the morning talk shows. One of them was hammering it out with CNN, Jake Tapper, denying and lying like crazy. And in the rally back in Madison Square Garden, New York, he said it, and his people supposedly vetted everybody who was voting, who was vetting and spewing out. And then you got a comedian who they vetted, theoretically, and didn't expect him to really go for a jugular. Trying to get the laughs out of him, and he did. I hope they were very uncomfortable about it. I'm not trying to be the echo chamber of the corporate mass media. I'm only going by what I'm reacting to, what I'm hearing. So when you have an active candidate who's viewing and vowing for authoritative regime, going after his enemies, yeah, it has to be constantly spoken. Unfortunately, being not a Christian nationalist, but a Christian, Christ never did like politics. He left the governing to the politicians and to the rulers. All he wanted to do was instruct the people that there is more to what the spiritual leaders were saying and a code of behavior to follow. In this way, they would be able to find an easier way to get into heaven without bringing in all the luggage of regret. They probably will have their luggage of regret, but they wouldn't have a regret seeing the master upstairs in the other dimension, in the other place. Once the mortal body dies, soul is lifted up and gone. Some people still debate the idea whether or not if death is still real or not. Well, death is real in our mortality plane, but it's the afterlife they still have a problem trying to convince. A lot of people try to write books and stuff, make profit over it. Me, I've been through it, and scared the hell out of me. And everything else down below throughout my life. But me getting scared about politicians and me getting scared about people being motivated by politicians, maybe I should get another level of fear to be added to it. Or just say to it all. Especially when I have people being so doped into repeating the 1938 Germany, when they were showing off just how charismatic a raving lunatic with a short mustache could be. But not to mention some of the other strong men out in Japan and Italy could be, and Russia. When they have egos running full tilt boogie on that one. And I try to study about this when I try to put things into context instead of seeing it firsthand right now, and it scares me. The maggot hats and the colors for them. And this is not a MAGA shirt, even though it is red. I'll show you what the back of it looks like. Without knocking cups and everything else over. Can you see it? Triangle with a circle around it. I hope you can. That is the symbol for 12-step recovery. That is the symbol for Alcoholics Anonymous. That is a symbol for a recovery process using spiritual techniques and other techniques to help dealing with the day-by-day issues of our addiction to anything and everything. They stay away from politics. I stay away from politics. I'm wearing a shirt because it's convenient. They have their own internal politics with their own groups. And that they try not to bring the outside world into. But what I've been seeing these days, it's got me nervous about how this particular color could have been interpreted. They call it MAGA. I call it maggot. And there's a reason why I call it MAGA. Maggots breed flies, who breed maggots, who breed flies. It's a continuing cycle. And that's on a constant basis. So right now, how am I not supposed to look at this thing? How am I not supposed to look at the color red, but as a maggot or MAGA? But I'm not wearing a hat. I'm not wearing the slogans. I'm not wearing anything else. Or even the desecration of the red, white, and blue. Different forms and formats they're trying to show them are ultra-patriotic to a concept they have no concept of. They think they have, but they really hadn't studied, and they really hadn't studied it thoroughly enough. They don't care. They're only looking for the quick 20-second clip, and that's the only thing to worry about. But they really hadn't taken a look at it all, or even most of it, even half of it. Just a 20-second clip. Or hearing someone else's long-ass speech, how things are supposed to be, and supposedly, but can't equate to the reality of it. And the reality right now is we're not doing so well. We're not. We're not doing it. We're not doing so well because I can't find a reason or answer. I mean, there's nothing ready-made to say it on a quick clip of mine. For whatever reason is going through their head, they want things back to a level that they could understand, and it's getting too out of hand for them. Economy is getting too out of hand. We have people screaming and yelling at politicians, and then the billionaires are laughing their asses off. But also some of them are shuddering because of what could happen. One of them backstabbing them and then putting them into a situation where they don't know what the hell they're going to do next. And quite frankly, either do I. People keep they're afraid that politicians are being affected mostly by the billionaires out there, and there is no power. But the power is still in Congress for making the laws necessary. As for voting in the judges, that's another thing as well. But in our democracy, apparently, money is power. But even that money is shaking because of ego and the megalomania happening. This is crazy. But then again, this is democracy. Easiest form of government to be corrupted, and yet supposed to be having a form of government that gives people hope. Their voices will be counted. Sometimes I'm wondering if it is or not. Sometimes I wonder. So right now, we're just counting down until something else happens. Will we see another January 6th? I don't know. Will it happen? I don't know. If we happen to see this happening and people are yelling and screaming that it's because the elections were fixed, they're fake, and there's this stuff. Were they right? Because a lot of states are going to have to prove whether or not their system is rigged or not. And they're going to have to come clean with it to the people. But if there are no mistakes, and they're still saying that it's rigged, then the accusers are going to have to come up with a valid reason why. Not just reason, evidence. So what happened last time in 2020, that's what they were saying. But they never produced the evidence. That's why one company sued and tried to get their reputation back. Two ladies, unfortunately, hadn't. They're marred. They're marred. And I don't know if they're going to be all right after that. But they're not the targets now. If you're Latina, you're a target. It doesn't matter if you actually had ancestors here. It doesn't matter if you have legacy here. If you're Latina, you're open season. If you're Puerto Rican, you're open season. Period. Doesn't matter. You get a lunatic in there threatening this stuff and telling people about it. It's like seeing January 6th all over again. They're priming them up for a march. And my observation, my own personal observation, my own opinion doesn't matter much. But it's what I'm seeing. It was scares the hell out of me. My own fear governing my own observations, because what I'm fearing is what may come to pass. And if it does, will I be able to accept that reality, or am I going to be going ape like other people had on January 6th 4 years ago? Back in 2021, right after the election and just before they certified. Or just at the point where they're trying to certify. But they certified, but Joe Biden was certified and he was in. Now the question is, will it happen on 2025? And this is the thing that we got a collective breath being held on. Are we going to be running into a same situation? Because I'm seeing in these rallies, some of them may be filtering back, but are they going to do the same thing? Is there going to be any pushback? I'm hearing too much fear on both sides on this. That's one thing, hearing political animosity. Major disagreements where they're emotionally running high. Animosity would be the word. That brain is not working very much, or very well, if it is working at all. But would I be considered an enemy of the Trump and the Trumpettes and the maggots out there? I already posted on Facebook that I am the enemy within. Maggot. I own it. I own this. I challenge them. I'm pissing them off. For a reason. They want to come after someone. There's my door. Bring it on. Have a nice little bit on camera. Show what kind of an idiot you are. Breaking and entering. Or was this just a personal invitation for them to come in here and beat me up? Because I gave them permission to do that. On camera. Apparently police may come in or may not. If I happen to get Trump in there, or the Trumplicants happen to be around a neighborhood, will he be that insane to do so? And yet I put my challenge out there. So the question is about my own damn sanity. And on whose level and how are we to judge sanity? If we've got people just willy-nilly dillying concerning about their hatred towards people and they're laughing about things. The younger people just don't give a shit. They don't understand. But if they're going to be drafted in here, they're going to be drafted as the Trump youth. Similar to a short, dangerous dude with the mustache getting his own youth group out there to do dirty work. But we're doing this, aren't we? We're talking about it in this format. And here I am. I am opposing this. Trying to make people think. Analyze. What is so fanatic about this guy? What is it about him that draws people in? Worse than gravity in a black hole. What is it about this guy with some kind of magnetic field around him that draws these lunatics in? That they say they can't get any help from their former governors and politicians, so now they got to draw to this salesperson here who sold people for decades of crap that didn't work, of hotels that went under, that casinos went under, of people who didn't get paid. Maybe very few of them are, but the rest of them, for that the decades, he puts up a fake television show, and people were drawn to it. I saw it. I didn't like it. I didn't like him. He was a con artist back then. He still is now. He's even worse. The only thing they know, the only thing they want is power. Who's they? People who think like Trump. In that age group or younger. Use fear and terror tactics. Disinformation. There have to be critical thinking. We have to be tearing these things apart. We have to figure out the logic of all this damn thing. In our own heads, we have to figure out our own formula. What's the bullshit and what's not. And if we can't do that, what's our gut telling us? If we can't hear that, we're in trouble. We're in trouble already. So yes, I am part of the enemy within. I am the enemy within. I'm a Christian, but not a Christian nationalist. And unfortunately, Christ kept advising us, Book of Matthew and Book of Luke, kept telling Peter, don't use the sword. Actually, he was telling people, those who live by the sword die by the sword. If I want to use it as an anagram, switch a few things left and right, sword becomes words. Words. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. They're not coming. So I don't know what their answer is going to be.